thing about being young is that you have the luxury of making crazy decisions and then just going with the flow. So not knowing what's going to happen next, I quit my job, and then my mom was like, you're not just going to sit with your last paycheck, forever. So she forced me to open a company. She's like, if you're going to do this, you're going to do it properly. During my time in MTF, I met a filmmaker who wanted to have a script done for them. And I wrote the script for free. I wrote several free scripts for people because I wanted to be noticed and I wanted people to see that I'm very serious about this. And then his stepmom ends up reading the script that I wrote. And she happened to be the script editor on Zuba at the time. So then she tells the producer, hey, there's this little girl who just wrote this script and it's great. We should definitely bring her on board. And then that's how come I got the job in Zuba. And I'm the youngest person in a room of people who worked on Kabanana. Like, you know, when you think about something, like 5 years before I was actually working on Zuba, I thought to myself, in 5 years I'm going to be directing this show. And for me it was like, ha ha ha, like, and then for it to actually happen, I was like, that's interesting. Tikula was so special because I was a first-time director, and then we also had first-time DOPs, first-time actors on the set as well.
Everybody was almost fresh.
Yeah, we were fresh. We really didn't know what we were doing. It was very stressful, very difficult, but it was also so much fun. Something I learned is no one's going to give you money. No one's going to appoint you to do something. People kind of have to see that you're already doing it in order to support you.
So Muchemwa, this is now time for the project breakdown. So this is called Duwit. We don't just talk. I put people who come here to the test and see what they've worked on. So what we're going to do is we're going to analyze scenes from your award-winning film.
Monday, I told you the turn was earlier, but you wouldn't listen to me.
Carl, you're overreacting.
I'm overreacting.
Uh-huh.
Muchemwa, nice to finally have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so the first time that I came across your work, I think that was back in 2021. Yeah, I think I saw your work with, Media 365. And then I went on to research on you. I found that you're directing and writing for different series and short films and doing your stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate your words.
Yeah.
And your support.
Yeah, so I just want you to take me back. Every person has a story when they're growing up. We all have a story. We all have where we came from and the influences that we had when growing up. So what was it like growing up?
I would say I was very quiet and shy for the most part, especially in my early childhood. And then when I got to high school, I kind of made friends with people that were louder than me. And then I learned to sort of speak up for myself. But in general, I was always someone that loved art. My older brother, one of my older brothers, I have 4 older brothers. So one of them was would draw a lot. He loved art, he loved drawing, and I would copy his drawings. So I loved art. I did art for my A-levels as well. That's how much I loved art. I loved drama. I was in the school drama plays. I grew up in Zimbabwe, and in Zimbabwe there's this theater called Reps Theater. So my high school, our drama plays were so good that we got to perform at Reps Theater, which is the big stage. I would compare it to Lusaka Playhouse or the Music Club. Imagine doing a play there. That's how big it was at the time. And yeah, so I've always been someone that's so involved or around the arts world. I was even in choir.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all through primary school. I was in choir, but I was too shy to audition for high school. For some reason, I don't know. I didn't know how people would feel about me being in choir. I don't know. For some reason, I should have auditioned. But towards the end of high school, I auditioned for a different choir because there were so many different choirs within school. So I auditioned for one of them, and then I was a part of that choir. But yeah, that's pretty much me. I've always been around the arts world.
So does any of your parents were in that field or anybody in your family?
My mother actually wasn't in that field. She was initially a nurse and then she became a diplomat. That's how I ended up in Zimbabwe, because she was a diplomat in Zimbabwe. And then my father's been retired since I was born. I should really ask him what exactly he was doing before then. But in general, what I do remember is that my dad has a guitar, and from an early age, he was playing the guitar, singing. So I feel like maybe the whole me being in the arts field comes from my father. Maybe deep down, this is a conversation I should have with him.
Yeah.
Maybe deep down, he always wanted to be an artist because he has a guitar. He's got like an electric guitar. He's got an acoustic guitar. And he's been playing guitar for as early as I can remember.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
really nice. I think my mother also like loved art, but she never did that. I remember her doing a course in, I think signage, where you think
Calligraphy.
Yeah,
Like
calligraphy.
writing.
Yeah.
That's really cool as well.
She did that, but I don't think she continued to pursue it. And
Yeah.
I think I never bothered because I was too young.
Yeah.
And I wish I had that conversation with her before she passed. But anyway, I think that's where I got it from as well. So now you finished your high school and secondary. What was it like after that?
So initially, when I finished high school, I applied to university. And the university I chose to go to was considered a liberal arts university. I was too shy to tell my mom, like, hey, I want to study drama, music, and art. So instead, I was like, okay, since my mom is spending so much money to take me to university, let me do something a bit more serious. So I triple majored in economics, politics, and then I threw in journalism because deep down I knew if like I do journalism, I can always find my way back somehow into the media industry. So I did journalism, specializing in television. And my journalism course was amazing because it taught me everything from how to write articles and news to how to work in radio, how to create radio shows, how to create magazines, and then finally my specialization, which was television. So I kind of got like a well-rounded journalistic training along with my economics and politics, which I haven't used to date, but I use it somehow,
somewhere
to sound smart in some situations. But yeah, so that's what I studied in university. I was at Rhodes University in South Africa. And then when I was done with my university, I sort of had to make the decision of, do I want to stay in South Africa and pursue a job here, or do I want to come back to Zambia? Because all this time I hadn't grown up in Zambia. So I have to now learn about my own country. That was what I wanted. I wanted to learn about my own country. And then also I kind of knew that if I come to Zambia, our media landscape isn't necessarily as far off as the South African one is. So there might be less competition and I might be able to do better, faster in Zambia than I would in South Africa. Because low-key, I thought I'd struggle more in SA than I would in Zambia. So I came back home and my first job was actually at Movie TV. And why I was able to get that job is because my university demanded every year, it forced us to do an internship at a TV station or in a newsroom. So when I'd come back on holiday, by this time my mom had moved back to Zambia. So when I'd come back on holiday, actually, no, she hadn't moved back yet. But my first year of uni, I got an internship with a letter from the school to do an internship for, I think it was about a month or so in the Movie TV newsroom. Did my first, not Movie TV, ZNBC newsroom. Did my first internship. The next year again, did an internship. The third year again, did an internship. So meaning by the time I'm graduating from school, I have all these internships. And then when I applied for the job, it was a lot easier for me to get a job. So my first job out of uni was at Movie TV. I worked as a producer, presenter, editor. I enjoyed working there. I learned a lot, but ultimately I felt like this isn't where I want to be long term. And lucky for me, it was the first year where Multi-Choice Talent Factory was happening. So I quit my job before knowing about Multi-Choice Talent Factory. I was like, no, I need to figure. And the thing about being young is that you have the luxury of making crazy decisions and then just going with the flow. So not knowing what's going to happen next, I quit my job. And then my mom was like, you're not just going to sit with your last paycheck,
forever.
Forever. So she forced me to open a company
Oh, okay.
A media company. She's like, if you're going to do this, you're going to do it properly, because sometimes people want an individual, sometimes people want a company. So open up your company. I opened up my company, and with that, there was a time where this organization was looking for like young females to create like some sort of documentary or whatever. So I applied for that, and oddly enough, I got it. Things were just falling into place. So I quit my job, opened a company, and then this organization is looking for female filmmakers to make something. And me, fresh off the boat, I managed to secure that. My youth and my womanhood was really working for me at that period in time. And then right after I do that, the applications or like the adverts for Multi-Choice Talent Factory start popping up, and I apply. And then by August, so I quit my job in March. By August, I know that I've been accepted into the Multi-Choice Talent Factory. And then by October, I'm starting my year of film school, so fiction film school, how to write fiction scripts and how to create movies. Because so far, all I knew was how to do documentaries. And even before that, actually, when I had just quit my job, my story is so mixed up. When I was thinking about quitting my job, I started researching who are prominent Zambian filmmakers, what are they doing? So the names and I would ask people, like, what filmmakers do you know who are women? And 2 names popped up, Becky Ngoma, Jessie Chisi. I Facebook stalked them to figure out where they are, what they're doing. At the time, they were working on a new project. It hadn't aired yet, and I looked up the company that was doing the whole thing, which was Jam Productions at the time. So like I looked up where this Jam Productions was. I sent them my CV. I sent them a letter. I even physically went there, right? And so I physically go there, and then I meet the producer at the time, his name is Julian Adams, and then I get to meet Becky, and I get to meet Jessie, and I don't get the job, but then I've made that connection, and I'm that girl that's constantly messaging them like, hey, I really want to learn about writing, I really want to learn about fiction writing, I really want to learn about all these different things. And then they're like, okay. And a few months later, which was March, around the time I quit my job, they're doing Young Cinema Zambia, where they were training young filmmakers or people interested in filmmaking, how to make films. So I attend their training workshop. I had to pay 500 kwacha out of my small paycheck that I just received.
Yeah, it was a lot of money back then.
I was touched. Like, it was all worth it, because I got to meet other young people in the industry, and I got to interact with them, the filmmakers that I wanted to be like, firsthand. Through that training, I get a certificate. So now I have my certificate with the Young Cinema Zambia, which was, I guess, in collaboration with the National Arts Council. And then I also have my university degrees. And with that, I then applied to the Multi-Choice Talent Factory. And I'm able to say, I know Becky Ngoma, I know Jessie Chisi. And then they're people. So now they're like, okay, this girl is serious, you know? So that's how I actually got into the Multi-Choice Talent Factory. And I did my year of film training. And during that film training, they expose you to different internships with production houses within Zambia. So that's how I got to meet the different producers, obviously. And when you're there, you just don't go in terms of like, oh, just do what people tell you. You ask questions, you make yourself seen, you make yourself visible. And I did that, and I was noticed. And then that's how come a few months later, actually. So I get noticed, but still kind of nothing is happening. And then during my time in MTF, I met a filmmaker who wanted to have a script done for them. And I wrote the script for free. I wrote several like free scripts for people because I wanted to be noticed, and I wanted people to see that I'm very serious about this. And then his mother, his stepmom, ends up reading the script that I wrote. And she happened to be the script editor on Zuba at the time. Oh. So then she tells the producer, hey, there's this little girl who just wrote this script and it's great. We should definitely bring her on board. So yeah, you have to you kind of audition to write scripts as well. So I had to write a spec script to see if I understood the story, if I understood the characters. And lucky for me, because of Becky Ngoma, season 1, I had interacted. The show they were working on was actually Zuba.
Nice.
That's and I had been a script assistant for Baking Goma during that whole time period.
Was that season 1?
Season 1, yes, before it even aired and everything. So lucky for me, I had that experience. I knew the characters, I knew the show, and then that's how come I got the job. Yeah, and then I start working as a scriptwriter on Zuba, and I'm the youngest person in a room of people who worked on Kabanana,
Wow.
you know, and it's just, there was, I think at one point there was even like 10, 12 writers in the room. It was a whole writing room. And it was just an amazing experience because all these people who have experience for years are listening to me, right? I'm in my early 20s and they're actually listening to what I have to say. And I'm being given so much respect, which is something I feel like a lot of women don't necessarily receive. So like people were listening to my opinions. People made me feel seen. They made me feel heard within that writer's room. And so I continue writing. And then as I'm writing, I'm kind of like, you know what? To my friends that I make within the industry, I want to make a short film. It was now during COVID, right? I want to make a short film. My friends agreed to make these random, very, like, I wake up one day, I write a script and I'm like, hi guys, can we shoot this tomorrow? My friends were so willing to do that and be a part of that with me, right? We don't count those films though. Those are for games. And so I make these friendships within the industry, people willing to support me, people willing to help me. And then I go to my boss, my producer at the time, I'm like, hi, this is now around 2020, 2021. I'm like, I want to be a director. Like writing is great, right? And it's fun, but I'm kind of ready for something new. And then I show him like my short films because firstly I also used his equipment to make my films. So like so he's like, okay, we'll see about that. And then he referred me because I was so interested in directing. He referred me to Media 365, who are looking for a content producer. So a content producer is kind of like in between a director and a writer. So it's like you have your technical director who deals with the equipment, and then you have your content producer who makes sure the technical director is following the script. So I got exposed to being on that set, and then eventually the project Tikula comes up. It wasn't even called Tikula at first, it was called something else, but it's a long story. Basically, I then start doing the research for the show, and then we start writing the scripts, and then I'm like, you know what, I want to direct this. Like, I want to direct this. From the start. This is someone who hasn't professionally directed anything. I had done documentary, but not fiction. So I haven't professionally directed fiction films. And they're like, yeah, okay, sure. I'm like, you guys being serious?
Is this up to me?
Like, really? Yeah, it's fine. And then, I ended up directing like quite a few episodes in season 1. So that was great. And for me, it was just, I was given so much creative freedom on Tikula. And I learned so much. Tikula was so special because like I was a first-time director. And then we also had first-time DOPs, first-time crew members, first-time actors on the set as well.
So everybody was almost like fresh.
Yeah, we were fresh. Like we really didn't know what we were doing. It was very stressful, very difficult, but it was also so much fun. And from there, I do Tikula, and it's a success. People love it. It's for kids, people, but adults were watching it as well, which is...
Because it's very relatable.
Yeah.
Like, that's what happens those are the things that happen in schools and whatnot.
Yeah. So, like, the positive response was, like, overwhelming. It was great. So I direct Tikula, and then now my boss at Zuba is like, okay, that's fine. That's great that you've done that. But this is a whole different ball game. Because Zuba, again, Tikula was like, what? The first season was, I think, 8 or 10 episodes. The next and Zuba is like 260 episodes, so you can't, and so you're shooting every day. You're shooting an episode a day, whereas Tikula we're taking like a week to shoot one episode.
Wow.
So like you need to come back and into training for Zuba before you actually take this on board. So I became a trainee director on Zuba, learning how to direct series. Like, like this is an important show for a lot of people. So you can't just throw anyone into it. So I did my director training through Elixir Integrated Media, which is the show that produces Zuba. And after my training, they were like, okay, now you're ready, you can start directing properly. So like before, like I would still get my director credit as a trainee, but it only actually started making sense, I think, was it 2-3 years ago when I was actually, okay, you're a director now. Proper, we're not going to call you a trainee anymore. You don't have to share an episode with a different director to direct. So yeah, and then from there, this year or last year, 2024, right? One of my good friends, he's a DOP, his name's Sammy. He was going off for his own, he's been DOP on director of photography on Zuba for so many years, but he wanted to get his professional training. So he was accepted into AFTA, which is a school in Cape Town, a film school in Cape Town, and he was going to be gone for a year. So he's leaving, and I'm like, who is going to shoot my film for me if you're not here? So literally the weekend before he leaves is when we then went and shot the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because he was leaving and I was like, please shoot this quickly. So yeah, that's where we're at now.
So there's so many things to unpack in there. First of all, like, some people might think it's luck. Maybe when they see where you are right now, people that meet you for the first time, they might think to say, oh, this person is very lucky. I wonder how they got here. But looking at your story and how you explained it, I see someone who's very dedicated, someone who's very committed to their work, and somebody who's thirsty to know and to learn. What advice would you give to other people? Because people complain about opportunities not coming, the things are hard, there are no opportunities. Like the position at the top there, they're already carried by people like you already. What do you say to that young person?
First of all, I'm not even at the top yet. There's so many layers. There's so many layers. I feel like something I've learned is the opportunities, like you've mentioned, they're never going to fall into your lap. You have to actively seek out the opportunities. You have to actively take risks and put yourself out there. Every single position or job I've gotten, especially the big ones, is because with my small qualifications, when you don't feel like you're good enough, you don't feel like you have what it takes.
Imposter syndrome,
I've just asked, and people are like, And then you also have to do things in the background, to prop yourself up. If I hadn't done my playful short films before, if I hadn't written scripts for people for free, people wouldn't have seen that I'm serious. So you can't just sit and be quiet in your bedroom. No one wants to give me an opportunity when you're not doing things for yourself. Even like with the short film, The End, no one paid me to do that. I had to kind of, dig from my own resources to make that short film. And that short film has given me other connections as well. 3 different festivals and people that have seen the film and are now reaching out to me. A film that I shot in 6 hours. With just the intention of, guys, let's just post it onto YouTube so that we can have like a quick reference. Because also when you don't own something and it's not like properly out there, it's very difficult when people come to you to be like, show us your work, and then you're showing you work owned by other people. So like it was very important for me to do The End so that it's something I own, and so that like everyone in the group also points quickly. They don't have to ask all these different corporate people, can we please use this work to apply for this and that. They can just quickly show it. So I feel like you have to put yourself out there. Something I learned is, especially last year, was like, no one's going to give you money. No one's going to appoint you to do something. People kind of have to see that you're already doing it in order to support you.
I've also learned from you that you also have to show the willingness to learn. Yeah. Because when people don't see the willingness to learn, they won't believe in you, and they'll just think you're just playing around and you're not serious with what you're doing. Because there are some people like that, they're just waiting for opportunity. An opportunity comes and then they're not showing that they want to learn more, or they are putting in that extra effort, like you said, like writing free script for people, doing free work and making sure you put it out there, asking lots of questions. I think that's very useful. And also just maybe like myself, I think some roles that I've applied for example, like I'm supposed to do UI UX design. Like I've not done it before, but before I've done like my fictional projects, like my own projects. But now I've shown that willingness to say I want to learn UI UX design, and then I'm given that opportunity because they've seen that I'm willing to learn.
Exactly.
And they'll see that I'll be able to do it if they just give me time and the freedom to learn.
Exactly.
The experience working on Zuba.
So working on Zuba, like, you'd think people would be hesitant or would be like, why is she there? And maybe they were secretly, but who knows? But for the most part, I think once people see that you actually know what you're doing, people trust your work. And I feel like I have a very good relationship with the crew, and I have a very good relationship with the cast as well, because they can see that I am invested in the story and that I have the academic and the professional qualifications to be able to take this baby of theirs and also make it my own. And also they trust me to lead them in that way. So I haven't faced I have received a lot of support, and maybe it's because of the filmmakers that came before me, the female filmmakers that came before me. So I don't have to fight as hard as maybe they had to fight.
Yeah.
For me, I've received a lot of respect, a lot of support, a lot of encouragement from people in the industry that I've worked directly with. Yeah.
So on set, almost everyone is looking at you and you directing them. So each person, you have to know them and know how to interact with them. How does that work?
You have to create a safe environment where people feel free to talk to you, and an environment in which you can handle conflict in a respectable and healthy manner. So it's also about you being approachable, and you also sort of letting people know that, hey, we're here to work. Being on set, you spend more than 12 hours on set, right? At times. It's 12 hours, but sometimes it goes over 12 hours. So you have to make sure that people are comfortable enough and that things don't escalate too quickly or too much, so that you hate each other and you don't want to work anymore. Communication helps as well.
Communication, right?
Clear communication. What are the objectives? What are we trying to get out of this? What time do you want to go home? Because if we continue with this nonsense, we might not go home on time. So yeah.
So last year, which is 2024, you made a short film called The End. And I saw on your LinkedIn post that you face some challenges. I want you to walk me through that. What challenges did you face? Okay.
So first of all, I had an invoice delay, which means I haven't been paid. I don't have money, right? And then my DOP was leaving the week after, or my DOP was leaving very soon. And on top of that, so we had limited financial resources. My DOP was leaving. We got lost on the way to location. What else? We only had one day to shoot. So I guess those are the challenges I faced in trying to make The End. And also in the beginning, trying to tell a simple story in a creative and interesting way that was still relatable. Those are some of the challenges I faced.
I'm seeing you having very good relationship with people where people are willing. Because some people will just be frustrated. We're just doing this for her and we are having challenges. We don't even know where we are. We are lost. Yeah. How was that like the people that you're working with?
No, people were so understanding. Yeah. Obviously, you speak to people before you let them know what to expect, right? So already, I think they weren't expecting anything. I feel like the people I asked to come on board for the specific project are people that I felt like I could really trust, and people that I felt like were enthusiastic about being a part of the project. So even with the challenges that we faced, I didn't get any backlash from them. They are all very happy with the project. And And I think they just enjoyed being a part of something different, because we also did the project during a time period where we had been so stressed out with work, and we never really got a break to do fun things. And for us, I guess our job is fun. So for us, it's like, okay, guys, we're going to play now. So it was kind of like, we're just going to have fun.
Carry your tools.
Yeah. We're having fun, but we're also working. And the whole point of the end was we wanted to create something that is easily accessible. It's on YouTube, and something that they could all point to be like, hey, I did this. So at the end of the day, everyone was kind of like also doing it for themselves. Easy to point to. This is the work that we did. And at the end of the day, each person, like each department, got a nomination for their work on the end. And most of the festivals, if not all of the festivals we went to, we got best short film nominations. And we actually even won some awards. So that was nice.
So now talking about writing. So how do you approach like writing for different formats, like short films, miniseries or series? How is it different, the way you approach them?
So it depends on what capacity I'm on the project in. So if it's a show like Tikula, for example, I was involved in the research, in translating what was like a 5-10 minute radio show into like a big 30-minute series. I was involved in the initial steps of that, and like creating different characters and naming and such like that, right? So it was like literally step by step everything. And then for a show like Zuba, there's different departments. There's the script writers, there's the script editors, there's the storyliners, there's the beat makers. So basically the storyliners, they come up with the stories. The beat makers, they write out the stories. And then the script writers, they just take all the work that these people have done and then turn it into a script that the actors can use. So I feel like in terms of like shows like Zuba, for example, I have the easier end of the job. I don't have to necessarily always, sometimes I'm asked to come to meetings, but I don't have to necessarily be involved in the actual story. I just write what the actors are saying and how they're moving. And then for shows like reality shows, for example, it's kind of documentary based. So you just take documentary formats, apply them to reality shows, and then also add in some spice here and there. So I feel like I kind of like have a different brain for the different formats and the different projects. Turn one thing off, turn the other thing on type of vibe. It just kind of flows. Yeah,
like that. So it takes like a lot of writing, right, for you to just to understand all these different formats and how to approach them.
I mean, yeah, practice makes perfect, and also research. Yeah, so practice, research, writing. You actually have to put in the work to get something that's somewhat good, because you never really know when something's good until you see or hear the response from people. And actually, sometimes you feel good about something. Like you write something, you're like, yeah, I did that.
So now talking about all these projects that you've worked on and some of which you are still working on, I'm sure you have something that is coming up in the future. Yeah. So what has been like the most rewarding moment in your career?
I mean, if we're talking rewards and actually people liking your work, it's probably my short film, The End, which I never expected. Like, we shot the film and then we're just going to post it on YouTube. And then Chawana, who's my editor of the film and who's also my DOP on Tikula. Yeah. And also Sammy, the DOP on Zuba and The End. They were like, nah, let's take it to festivals, guys. Let's take it to festivals. This is lit.
You can just be
here. So it's like something that was just supposed to be lighthearted and just like a reference point for us turns into something that a lot of people are relating with and festivals are actually recognizing. For me, that was rewarding. And obviously, I think my first baby, which is Tikula, which was female producers, because Media 365 is female producers, right? Taking a chance on me, an unknown person, being involved in creating, I guess, sort of like a first for Zambia, which is sort of, for me, I see it as a cultural shift. Like, we hadn't seen something like that, perhaps in so long, perhaps ever. And just receiving the overwhelming positive response from all over Africa and different parts of the world as well. People watching it and relating to it. And it's like, really.
Yeah.
And for me, I'd always wanted to work on a teen drama. Growing up, I was stuck on the TV, watching animations, watching all those Nickelodeon and Disney shows.
Yeah.
And for me to be a part of that for Zambia, so that like our people can see themselves in such situations, such setups, that was really rewarding for me. And I think even like Zuba itself, like I never that happened. Like I never, like, you know, when you think about something, like 5 years before, like, let's say I was actually working on Zuba, I thought to myself, in 5 years, I'm going to be directing this show. And for me, it was like, ha, ha, ha. Like,
okay.
And then for it to actually happen, I was like, that's
Okay.
interesting. That's interesting.
I took it lightly and it came to reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. I think also, like, the industry is, like, young. I don't know it at the level which it's at in
It's a
Zambia.
baby.
It's really a baby. And seeing like shows that you can relate to the Zambian people, because growing up, the most of the shows that we watched, like Disney, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, all those were, they were fun, but we couldn't see anything that's
Zambian.
that's Zambian. So that having that coming into Zambia and this industry growing, I really love that we can be able to produce our own shows. And I really like where we're going. I think even the government and people are opening up to it, because it wasn't considered that much in Zambia. So I love where we're going, and I'm excited for the future.
We need money though, so I hope people are listening.
Yeah, I think money is also a challenge.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
I can't talk about it because I don't have any. Like, I don't have any. I think we definitely need more funding opportunities for artists in Zambia, filmmakers in particular. I don't think we receive as much support as we could. So we can't expect to have Hollywood shows or Hollywood standard, Netflix standard, when we don't even have the money to create that. And people want to say, oh, you can make something without money. Yes, you can make something without money, but there's certain types of equipment that you actually need to be able to qualify for even Netflix, for example.
Especially,
So at the end of the day, it comes back to money. You can make films with what you have and like hope that people out there see it and want to invest in your work. You can do that. But at the end of the day, I feel like we do need more investment and support within our country.
Yeah, I think that's too, because, I mean, you may make a show, but where you put it again, it won't even maybe even make money after you make it. For example, you put it on YouTube. In Zambia, you don't have monetization, you see? So that's also another challenge.
Yeah.
And so if we could have, and people complain to say, Zambian stuff, I can't watch Zambian stuff because the quality is very low. I would rather go to Netflix and watch an American show or something like that.
Yeah.
I think we need a lot of opportunities, a lot of training, a lot of funding.
Exactly.
The government should definitely look into this. Yeah.
I feel like one day, this is now me in my 5 years. One day, like, I do have like this little thing in the back of my mind that I do want to create an arts and sports school. So like a school that focuses on like art in terms of like writing, sculpture, painting, and media as well, filmmaking, radio, all of that, just to have like a hub that's like top quality, high quality that people can learn from, and also like the sports side as well. Because I feel like we have a lot of talent that people don't necessarily have the support that they need in order to excel to their full potential. Yeah. Because imagine if we actually had money to make the end properly, it would have been way better.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
Could have been big. Because even marketing, you have to market it as much as you can. Hollywood shows, they invest like a lot of million. You hear a budget of $100 million, like what? All that money just for a single movie. Wish we could have those opportunities even here. Yeah. So Muchemwa, this is now time for the project breakdown. So this is called Duwit. We don't just talk. I put people who come here to the test and see what they've worked on. So what we're going to do is we're going to analyze scenes from your award-winning film. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we're just going to analyze some scenes, talking about your approach and how you approach maybe some of these scenes. So let's get into it.
Cool.
All right. maybe to the listeners, just a short description of what the end is all about.
Okay, so the end is about a toxic couple that have to decide whether or not they're going to stay together when they get lost in this supernatural bush field on their way to a festival, basically.
So first of all, we're going to analyze this scene.
Okay, the first scene.
Yeah.
Monday, I told you the turn was earlier, but you wouldn't listen to me.
Carl, you're overreacting.
I'm overreacting.
Uh-huh.
You see, that's the problem with you, Monday. You never listen to me. And now we're gonna miss the freaking festival because of you. Are you happy?
Look, maybe if you had helped me service the car like I'd asked you to, we wouldn't be in this mess now, would we, sweetheart?
I should pay bills for a car that doesn't even belong to me.
Okay, so let's just stop right there. So we're showing the couple arguing where you're showing the toxicity in their relationship. So how do you communicate that through visuals and the language that they're using?
Okay, so first of all, we can see they're both very passive aggressive towards each other. That's through the language. And then through the visuals, I think initially seeing them from the back rather than the front translated that. That, hey, like, these aren't necessarily the happiest or the most normal people. So starting from the back before we actually see them in the front helps us establish that.
Yeah. So, like, how do you bring that out of the actors? So you have to make sure that guys, for this thing, you have to act passive-aggressive.
So what I do is, these guys had the script a month before we shot, because actually no, they didn't even have it a month before. They had it months before, because I'm like, hey guys, because this is me in the process of like asking people, hey guys, do you want to be a part of this, right? So I asked them months before, and then about a month before we actually shot, I was like, hey, Sammy's leaving soon, so we need to, can you guys go through this, because I don't want us to be learning lines, you know, on set or too late or too close to the day. So they go through the script, meaning they know what the story is about, and then I ask a series of questions, including who do you think this person is, where are they from, why do you think they feel the way they feel about this person, what's going on in the scene, just to make sure they understand what's happening. So I'm not going to come on set and be like, hey, be passive aggressive, because we've already had that communication before. Who is this person, where are they from, where are they going, so that in the back of their minds, whatever emotions that they're bringing out, as long as they understand the story and what's going on, makes sense for the scene. So the amount of aggression that they actually put in, that was all on them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they're just good at it.
Yeah.
So it must be easy to work with people like who understand everything.
Yeah, as long as the person understands the story and as long as they understand what the director wants, then it's easy sailing, it's smooth.
So
and also just preparation before they have the script, before they know what's happening. Yeah.
No, that's pretty good. So you don't have to, as a director, like micromanage them, because it's gonna be awkward, right? If you're always there, no, do this, do that, do this, do that, like on each and every point, like no, say it like this.
I mean, you could do that if you really wanted to, especially in the rehearsal stages. You could say that, but I didn't necessarily do that. And also we had a limited amount of time on the actual shoot day. So the amount of preparation work you do before. We were on a call, we read it with the crew, we read it with each other. They'd stop, they'd ask questions, and it's all about communication at the end of the day. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move to this scene where now they start experiencing the supernatural.
Okay.
Okay?
Come.
What? Monday, what?
Listen. Do you hear that?
Wait. Is that music?
Huh?
That sounds like it should be the festival. That means we're close. We're close. Wait. Okay, wait.
So just to stop here. So I see that they were going in a loop. So the first time it was the guy that killed the woman in the first one, and then again it goes back, and then it's her who now kills him. It's hard to show the supernatural part of it, but how did you make sure that people understand to say this is something supernatural going on? I don't know if you understand.
I think I roughly understand what you're saying. So the first part of the story, like the first thing I'll talk about is the grading of the show. So initially when the show starts, in the first third of the show, it's very happy, bright colors. And then when you move to the first time, after the first death, it kind of goes into grayish tones. Like it's obviously we still have the colors, but like the grading is kind of like gray and it's a bit flatter, maybe a bit gloomy. And then towards the end, when things have recovered, we kind of return to like the normal, because now they're in like an equilibrium. They understand what their future holds. So that was the first thing. The next part is the type of music, the choice of music we use. So when supernatural things are happening, the tone changes. It's something more sinister, darker. It just gives you an eerie feeling. And then something else that happens is, in terms of like the actual edit of the show, we used effects to sort of like blur out certain things, especially like when he first wakes up the first time. There was a bit of like a jump sort of like effect that we did there. So that was an indicator of like, hey, like things have switched up. Something's not normal here.
So you talked about how tight this was, like on time, budget, money. Yeah, money especially.
Send money. Send money.
Need the money.
I have so many great ideas.
Okay. What lessons did you learn?
To have good relationships with people, because when you have good relationships with people, they're willing to help you. Because Bulongo's like a big movie star in Zambia, right? Stella as well. So like, and also my crew is like a big deal. So like being able to speak to these people, to be like, hey guys, please help me. And them being like, yeah, sure, without even being like, you know, aggressive or like demanding about it, is good. So have good relationships with people. And then also, if you have a simple story, one location, a few characters, you're able to move a lot quicker than if you make things too complicated for yourself. Yeah. So I think it's having a good relationship with people and having stories that are easy to tell, and then just make them interesting.
Yeah. So how far do you think you could have taken this if the budget was unlimited?
First of all, we wouldn't have shot everything in 6 hours. We would have spent at least maybe even as far as a month, right? Because you want to make sure you have as many takes as possible. You want to make sure you have the best shots, the best performance, the best technical skill, because there's actually quite a lot of technical issues we have, and also like performance issues that people don't notice, but it's me, I noticed. But it's not a big deal. But like it just could have been better. Like we did a really good job. I give props to my team, but if we had the support that we needed, we could have done even better. Yeah.
So even like marketing, make sure most people see it.
Exactly, marketing. And even like our last scene, we lost so much sunlight. And we were using natural light, by the way. We lost so much sunlight that like someone had to come with their phone light just to make sure we had light on the actress's face when she was, you know, dying.
Wow.
I don't know if that's a spoiler, but yeah.
So do you shoot like this in like sequence? Were you like moving like from this scene to the next scene? Like
No, we shot out of sequence. So we shot all the car scenes first, and then we went into the bush.
Okay.
And then we went into the deaths, which kind of worked because it was kind of like the day starts and then you see it getting darker for each segment of the film. And then when it starts getting darker like this, right, we're running out of light. Our DOP, bless him, he did a great job, but he had such a hard time, you know, making sure that like, you know, he's getting the right angles and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it actually worked for the type of story we're telling. Because if this scene in particular, things are so uneasy and that works. It was always supposed to be handheld, but like I had wanted it to be like a bit tighter.
Okay.
And we didn't manage to get that because we were running out of time. But like this works because it's so uneasy and you really kind of feel like you don't know what's going on because things are almost blurry and you see things going in and out of focus. So I feel like that actually worked better than it should have. So like this I felt like was a bit too profile for me because I'd have loved to see more of their faces. But it kind of works because it's like also showing that like they're not in a good place if you think about it like that.
Yeah. Okay. Then this place, how did you find this place and convince the people, I want to film from here? And the cows in the background.
My mother's farm.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So at least location, which is crazy because why did we get lost if it's our farm? But
yeah, which is also okay.
Yeah.
There's no Google Maps.
In my defense, I don't drive. My brothers will be driving when we go there. So this was my first time driving there and leading the whole crew there.
Okay.
So I missed the turn.
Oh, wow. So then you had to go back.
Yeah.
Did you have to call your mom or something?
I called my brothers and then my uncle who lives at the farm sent, I don't know, he called me and then he like walks to where we were to come and get us. I don't know. I don't remember how we managed.
Yeah.
But we ended up managing.
Okay, but you got it done.
We got it done.
So what time did you get there?
We got there, we were supposed to get there at 8. We got there around 12.
What?
And then we left by 17, 18 hours. It was getting quite dark early.
Yeah, I could see from this scene here.
And we could only do one take. As soon as this scene was done,
yeah.
it was
I can
black.
see the light.
Black.
There was light. Is this some light or sunlight there?
Yeah, so all the death scenes are like one take.
Oh, okay.
Because that's how much light we did not have.
Wow. No, you did a very good job. And so you had to make sure that before you leave, you had every shot that you needed.
Yeah, but I didn't get all the shots that I needed and wanted, but we got what worked. And a big part of us managing to get everything in one take was preparing the crew. I created a treatment, everything from music to how I wanted it to feel, and then also speaking to the actors before. So at the end of the day, I'm just standing there like, guys, we need to get this done. And they already know what they have to do. Yeah.
Nice.
So preparation is very important. You can't go on set and start trying to figure things out.
Nice.
You kind of have to, the more prepared you are, I wrote a treatment and I sent it to everyone. So everyone had to read through it. And then I also made sure that we had a meeting and we read through it together so that people understood really what we're doing.
So preparation is very key.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is good. I can imagine if somebody could give you now the money now to run a film or to do a film, I think you would do a pretty good job. Like on a tight budget like this. Yeah, I think you would.
Thank you.
Yeah. Muchemwa, thank you so much for this project breakdown. I really enjoyed that. I'm sure our viewers have learned one or two things. And now back to our conversation. Muchemwa, it's now time for the rapid fire questions. Who's your favorite film director?
I don't have a favorite film director. I have different films that I watch and follow and steal from. But I do enjoy the work of Ari Lester. He made Midsummer. But I wouldn't say he's my favorite, but like he's one of the people I'm like, oh, this is interesting, this is cool.
What's your favorite movie of all time?
Once again, I don't have a favorite movie. I have different projects in different genres that I enjoy. But I will say the one film, can I say two?
Okay.
Okay, the two films that really stick to me are 1960 Cycle by Alfred Hitchcock and then 2019 The Joker. I really enjoy those films. Yeah.
What is one film you think people should watch once in a lifetime?
Once in their lifetime. The Sound of Music.
The Sound of Music?
Yes.
That's by who?
I don't know who made The Sound of Music, actually. I feel like I know this, but I can't think in my head. But it's like from the 1950s, 1960s as well. It's an amazing musical, great story. It's interesting. I feel like it's a classic.
Yeah.
It's all ages and all people from all backgrounds, I feel like, can relate to it and enjoy it. Yeah.
Nice. I wanted to go into that, but these are rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So
It's
we
good.
move on to the
Yeah,
next
let's
question.
move on.
So what's one story you'd love to tell on screen but haven't yet?
Again, I have so many stories.
Come
I
on,
don't
just
have
pick
like
one.
a specific narrative, but I
Uh-huh.
have specific like things that I want to see. So I want to make a movie about vampires, right? Which is a bit like, what is she doing? What is she thinking? Or like, I don't know, vampires or like zombies or something, just something different, you know?
Yeah.
I wanted, and also like a superhero, a Zambian, like we had Z-Man actually, which was done a few years ago, like a superhero Zambian thing. But I want to create like light-hearted, fun things because I feel like, oh, rapid fire, let me stop. Rapid fire, that's the end.
Okay, I'll give you that.
You give me that one? Okay, because I feel like a lot of the time when we think of African film and Zambian film, it always has to be serious. It always has to have like a big special meaning and be deep. But I feel like we also need to have fun.
Yeah.
We also need to turn off our brains. And
Non-fiction, right?
Exactly. We need to do interesting things that are out there and experiment. You know, I feel like the only way to become a better filmmaker is also just to experiment with a whole lot of different things and see what works for you. So maybe in short, I want to create a horror, like a proper horror.
Movie.
Yeah.
Zambian, African.
Yeah. But maybe we have like those old Nigerian movies for that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
something a bit more different, like, you know.
Nice. I would love to see that.
Send me the money, I'll make it.
Okay. The money.
Yeah, because oof.
Yeah. Okay.
The budget for that would be crazy.
Which filmmaker would you like to collaborate with, living or dead?
Several different people. That's the
Again.
problem. Again, because I think the reason is because I don't have a particular favorite. I enjoy the works of different people and I learn and steal and, you know, from lots of different people. But I would say Issa Rae. She did Insecure.
Yeah.
Michaela Cole, she did this show called Chewing Gum. It was absolutely hilarious. Jordan Peele, who did No, Us, you know, all those horrors. Ari Lester, because like I just love how his mind works. Let me go lighthearted. There's this woman called, what's her name? Nancy. Her name is slipping out of my mind right now, but she does these old Hollywood classic films that are like family and rom-com type vibes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So those are the few rapid fire questions. I think I relate to you when I ask you like to name just one person or one film. Somebody asked me that as well. Like, who do you look up to? Who do you get inspiration from? And I was like, no one particular person comes to mind, but I get it from different people in different fields, in different areas.
Yeah. Is it wrong to say I also inspire myself? I feel like a lot of the work that I do that I'm really like, ooh, I love this, is stuff that I do for myself. So I feel like I inspire myself.
Yeah.
I draw from different people, but at the end of the day, I inspire myself. I compete with myself. I really love myself. Yeah, maybe that's a problem, but...
No, it's not a problem.
know.
I think it's the right thing to do because it gives you confidence even to do your work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because the opposite of that is like imposter syndrome, where you're just like, oh, I can't do this. What do people think of me?
I mean, sometimes that does happen in terms of like, am I really good enough to go out for this opportunity? But then I've gotten into the system or mindset of being like, what's the worst that could happen? What's the worst that could happen? Yeah.
As long as I don't die or anybody dies, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What advice would you give to aspiring screenwriters?
I feel like you must always be authentic in how you write and tell your stories. You need to make sure that what you're writing about is true to yourself and true to the people that will come across your work. Write about things you know, also things you've experienced, things you've seen. I would also say learn to let go, because sometimes as writers, when we're working on a project, you write something and then you give it to a director and the director completely changes everything. So you need to learn to be like, okay, I wrote this. this is my body of work, but it's also our body of work because it needs to move from script to screen. So learn to let go and be authentic.
Don't be too attached to your work.
Exactly.
Because things might change. They might not like it.
Exactly.
You might like it, but other people might not.
Exactly.
Okay. So be open to criticism as well, isn't it?
Yes, 100%. I love criticism from the right people. Like, anyone can give me their opinion, but I know who to get the criticism from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just like you, I can listen to you and I'll take it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. Yeah.
Okay, we'll keep it that way. Muchemwa, thank you so much for coming through. I really love this conversation and just listening to you talk. Because I've never been on a film set. I hope one day you invite me on your next project.
On my own individual one, yes. Other people's productions, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. As long as I can be behind the scenes and see what you guys love to do. So where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram. It's MS, M for mango, S_ creative media. That's where I post like updates on what I'm up to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Showing right here.
Is it? Is it showing?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's right
So
here.
that's where you can find all my film stuff and just catch up with all the other work that I've been a part of.
Any upcoming exciting projects, or you would not like to
In
talk
my
about
head,
them now?
yes. On the ground, not yet.
Okay.
Because, again, financials, need to raise money to make something.
Since we need a lot of money, eh?
Film is a very expensive industry to work in.
Yeah.
And because we live in Zambia, the return or the rewards, it's very like shaky. Yeah. It's a passion for a lot of people. It might be just an expensive hobby, but it has its rewards, but yeah.
Okay. No, thank you so much for coming through. I really enjoyed this conversation and I hope our listeners have also learned one or two things. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.